Sup legends. So today's another example of where we use our plastic bumper and trim repair filler. So this isn't like your ordinary polyester filler, it's specifically for, as you'll see here, these textured plastics and mouldings that you get on cars. You'll see we've got some damage on the mirror of this Mercedes EQC, and we've got to replace the indicator unit and the mirror cap anyway, but the mirror body itself is really expensive. So with that being the only damage, we can basically fill that up, level it off and retexture it and make it look great. So let's get mixing and we'll show you how we do it. So to start with, we're going to rub this area down with a 180 grit sanding strip, and that is because where the scratch, the gouge has happened, it has some edges on it and some sort of fluffy bits, so we'll basically smooth all that out. Again, you don't need to go too wild here, you're just looking to make sure that everywhere around that gouge is leveled off nicely. And then we just want to kind of get the sandpaper into a bit of a point, get inside that gouge so that we can make sure that the filler grips nicely when it gets down in there as well. Right, so that's as quick as that for the prep. Let me get some panel wipe and we'll wipe that off. So here we are, a bottle of our solvent panel wipe and some blue roll is all you need. Quick spritz on there, give it a wipe over. And you really can achieve pretty good results in almost no time at all with these fillers and these chemicals and products. They're absolutely fantastic. This one from E-Tech for this sort of plastic is a real personal favourite of ours. So let's get some mixed up on the filler board and we'll get it in that gouge. So here we are on the board. I'm using a little spreader out of the kit that I showed you, and all we want to do is load a little bit into that gouge and just fill it up nicely. I mean, it don't matter if you put a bit too much on because you know, you're going to rub it down anyway. So just a little bit in the front there as well, make sure that profile's right, and then we can just smooth that down. It's a little bit more kind of like gloopy and plasticized than your standard filler, but you soon get used to it, and again, just light pressure will get you where you need to be. And a repair like this can save you hundreds upon hundreds on, you know, new mirror unit or something like that. The price of vehicle parts nowadays, especially from main dealers, if you need to buy a mirror body, is ridiculous. So there we go. I'm just trying to get an angle where you folks can see what I'm doing and how I'm spreading it. So again, using one of these little spreaders can be a little bit finicky when you're used to the bigger ones. But that's all I want. I just want to level that filler off and make sure that you can't see any traces of that gouge in there anymore, which that is good. I'm happy with that. So I'll just take any excess off so it's less to rub down. Feather it out a little bit. Excellent. So I'm going to get a little bit of gentle heat over this now, and then give it half an hour to set up, and then I'll come back and sand it. So then, filler's all dry, we're going to take our 180 and we're just going to carefully scuff it down now. You don't need to worry about using a block for something like this because you can cover the whole width and breadth of the area with, you know, your thumb or finger. And all we're doing is just basically flatten it off to where it's nice. So we want those edges feathered in, and we want to make sure there's no trace of that little gouge that was in there before. So it's really easy filler to rub down this as well. It's because it forms, you know, it's polyester basically, so it forms plastic, and it's a nice soft plastic compound, so you can really get your shape with it really nicely. It doesn't take long to come back down to where you want it either. And you can see a few seconds in and we're already almost there. So if this was something you were doing on the driveway at the weekend, you know, allow yourself an hour or two and you're done and dusted, and that's probably over allowing. We just want to make sure that the ends don't. So the ends of the filler are the biggest point here, is that the way you got to work with body repair and things like that is if you can feel it, you'll see it. So here, this is completely feathered out and nice and smooth, but I can feel, and you can see there's a little bit of a high spot there at that edge. So we're just going to basically work on that, take that down until, the idea I always say to you know, people I've trained in the past, that what you want with your filler is you want to make it look like a stain on the panel. If you can make it look like a stain, then you've got the best possible edges you can have for overcoating and not seeing any repairs underneath. Okay, that's looking and feeling really good. So what I did is I built a little bit up on this front edge, so we'll just take that off. I just want to get down in that groove there where I've got a little bit extra. Again, we've got to replace the mirror cap on this car. If you weren't doing that on your car, you know, you could remove it or put some stronger tape over, but I've just put the tape in place at the moment to show you sort of where you'd want to mask. Right, and I've masked off the glass as well. We haven't got to replace the glass, but I won't get near the glass with the sandpaper. I'm just going to feather up that front edge now. There we go, and then what we'll do is we'll just take the paper and we'll just roll gently over the edge just to get that curve back in the edge, that nice shape, and try and match the rest of the mirror shape. Again, with a repair like this, it's highly unlikely you're ever going to really see it anyway, but compared to the damage that was there before, which stuck out like a sore thumb, this is an awful lot better. Just a little bit of a gouge and a divot up there I can get rid of. Right, so I'm going to get now a little scuffing pad that we use and just feather all that out, and then we'll be ready to go in with a little bit of primer then, and then we'll retexture it, and I'll show you the texture spray that we use as well to get that finish on there. So here's our super fine scuff pad. This is by Q1. These things are absolutely fantastic. These particular ones are 600 to 1000 grit, so they break down as you use them. So I've given that a quick once over with some 320 as well, just to feather the 180 scratches out. And now we're just going to go over with that green pad, and it just leaves a nice smooth finish ready for primer and getting your overcoating materials on the top. Right, and with the scuff pad as well, this is where you can prep as far as you need to prep on the rest of the piece, so that your paint will stick basically, because it's mechanical adhesion. So you can use this just to prep it out. That feels super smooth now, just where I want it. So next what we'll do is we'll mask off around the mirror, around the damage, and we'll just put a little bit of Adhesion Promoter primer on there, and then we'll go in with our texture coat and that'll finish it off. And I think all in all, I'm about 28 minutes into this in total time, so it's really not bad, and that's including the drying time for the filler as well, so you can see just how quickly you can achieve a decent result. So this is one of the adhesion promoters we use. U-Pol aerosols are really, really good quality, absolutely bang on for stuff like this. So we just give this a spritz over, just the areas where I'm going to be retexturing, and then we give that about 10 minutes or so, and that'll dry up nicely, and then we can go in with some texture. So here's our texture then. This particular texture, the ProXL stuff, is absolutely phenomenal. We've tried so many different ones, and the ProXL aerosol is always the one we keep coming back to for texture. We do use a variant that you can thin down and put through the spray gun as well for like loads if we've got to do massive texture work, but for anything like this, these aerosols are brilliant. So I've given this a warm up and a good shake up, and let's dust it on and see how we get on. So I'm standing back a little bit because I want the texture to go on nice and light, and just try and recreate that factory appearance. But you can see already where that gouge was originally, the difference this is making, and I'm just getting over this quite quickly, because again, I don't want, when you're doing texture, you don't want any massive builds or anything like that. You just want to get it on nice and smooth. Well, I say smooth, it does go on textured, but you want a nice even coat. So I will give that 5 or so minutes to flash off. I'll probably just come back, pop a second one on, and then that's this one all done. Okay, so in with the second coat of the ProXL Protex then. And again, this is just an even lighter coat, this one. This is just to get the finish looking nice and even, and just blend it out on the bottom. Flick around the front as well, because you want all that colour and distribution nice and even. And as you can see, I've just masked up behind the mirror as well to protect it, because this overspray then stops it getting all over the car. And whilst it can be cleaned off, it's much better to prevent it in the first place. So there we are, legends, all done. As you can see, that gouge is gone, the mirror is nicely retextured now, looking factory. So if you wanted to protect that further, you could put a couple of dust coats of a matte clear coat from an aerosol over it, and that'll protect it even further, but that will weather absolutely fine. So what I'm going to do is link all the products I've used in the video for you in the description, so you can go and buy them if you need them as well. That's all the aerosols, different bits and bobs we've used, the fillers, things like that, so you can get this repair done. I've done this in about 40 minutes, so you can see just how quick you can turn it round. And don't forget, folks, if you want to see more hints and tips and repairs like this, drop us a subscribe and like and comment. If there's any questions you've got about what I've done here or any other jobs you've seen, whack them in the comments below and I'll get back to you and answer them.